Hi, everybody. This is Gerald Worley's functional nutrition consultant. Today, I'm doing a Facebook Live to talk about the work of Dr. Weston Price. So, for many individuals, they've never really understood truly is there confirmation that there can be a group of people or healthy societies that can have absolutely perfect health. So no disease, no cancer, no diabetes, no hypothyroidism, nothing, no GERD, no depression, just overall are specimens of perfect health. And the research of Dr. Weston Price confirms that there is a nutritional link. And many people have never heard of who Dr. Weston Price is. So that's what this video is all about, is to talk about this amazing dentist who had a practice in Cleveland, Ohio during the 1930s, probably 1920s, 1930s, and is treating moms, dads, and even the children. And notice that the parents had better teeth than the kids. The children of his existing patients or his original patient base actually started coming in with more cavities, having narrower dental arches so that their wisdom teeth would come in sideways and wouldn't be able to grow out, and he'd have to knock them out and pull them out. And he started to suspect it had to do with something with the actual food supply that was possibly being problematic. And he actually found or heard of a society that had absolutely perfect health. So he sold his practice and then went on to travel with his wife around the entire globe and studied almost close to 100 different villages or societies of people. In fact, you can call them mini ethnographies. Usually an anthropologist will consider ethnography as where you live with this village, you learn their customs, you learn the language for at least a few years. But he went and visited these different societies and found 14 of them. 14 of them. So in fact, there is an actual website. Let me pull this up and share this with you. If I am, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the screen. This is his book. He documents all this information, and I'll have the link to this book in the comment section, but it's called Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. And he documented all of his entire travels. And there is a website in which you can find his entire content posted online. So you don't necessarily have to purchase the actual book, but I highly recommend that you do go to this website, and you can see that he studied various primitive cultures. He studied a certain subset of the Swiss, the Gaelics, the Eskimo, also known as the Inuit, some of the North American Indians up in the Canadian region, the Melanesians, Polynesians, various African tribes, the Australian Aborigines, the New Zealand Maori, and then et cetera. There's many more. So you can go down, and what's key is you read some of these stories and his research and his findings, but more importantly, look at the actual teeth of some of these societies. And he would go and, being a dentist, he'd study teeth, and he noticed that they'd all be healthy. He would find that each of these societies would only have one cavity at most. None of them have any implants, no fillings, no amalgam fillings, composite fillings whatsoever. And he noticed that they had their wisdom teeth because their actual jaw structure grew in totally fine and allowed those teeth to grow out. Okay, then he studied societies that had processed foods. So now you see teeth falling out, cavities, misaligned teeth. And he just documented these various societies and found such amazing research in regards to the link between the food that individuals consume and their overall teeth formation. Now, in his book, he also documents how these societies would have eventually roads being built, because most of the societies he traveled to were by plane or snowshoe or horse and buggy, literally no roads. He'd have to hike into these very far, very difficult to access areas that were separated geographically from many of the civilizations that we consider today as normal living. And he did notice that these roads were being built. Then eventually they built in grocery stores, and then they brought in processed foods. And he documented how the health of the people started to decline when they left their native traditional diet. And in his book, it's really phenomenal because he documents what people are eating. And they did consume a lot more fermented foods. They consumed organ meats, vegetables, herbs, and there was never really truly a society that was 100% vegetarian. There were societies that were 95% vegetarian, and there were some that were just only 5%, but none of them were really truly 100% vegetarian, which is very interesting to note because I did have a little bit of a journey changing my diet from after high school towards vegetarianism. And then eventually I started reading other individuals' research, especially that by Dr. Weston A. Price, and modify my diet accordingly. So it's very interesting to notice his work. Now, he remarkably even documents how some societies, like for example, in the oceanic islands, there are the New Zealand Islanders. He even say the the Aborigines in Australia. But when you look around those islands, there's a lot of studies done where he actually went, and there was one society in particular where there was trade being done between the Europeans and the natives, where the Europeans came and brought white flour, white sugar, things that were not perishable and highly refined, and they exchanged and traded with the natives for coconut or coconut meat. They called it copra, which is dried coconut meat. And eventually the health of the children in those societies declined with the consumption of more white flour goods, more sugar goods, so more candy, more baked goods, etc. And he noticed that these children developed systemic health issues. And of course, then these Europeans stopped traveling there because the price of copra or the coconut decreased globally. So they didn't have to travel as far to get the same product. And these native children eventually they ran out of the sugar, they ran out of the white flour, and they started getting hungry, and they started reintroducing the native foods back into their diet. And Dr. Weston A. Price noticed that slowly, it did take significant amount of time, but slowly their teeth started to get stronger, and a lot of their systemic health challenges eventually resolved. So very powerful research that everybody should read into it. This also reminds me of a time a couple of years ago when I was very big in studying human civilizations and anthropology, and looking to see how various native societies evolved into the modern day human, right? How we become domesticated. And I wanted to better understand migration patterns. And there's a lot of research in an excellent book called Guns, Germs, and I think it's Guns, Steel, and Germs or something. And I remember there's even a documentary, you can go online and look at it. And it talked about how the natives of Papua New Guinea would move into a modern day society, work jobs that are common to what we're used to, working in cities, and also consuming a lot of processed modern day foods. And they would develop blood sugar disorders. So most common one that's known is resembling diabetes. And a lot of the natives who came from Papua New Guinea would then return back to the island and return to what they refer to as the bush diet. And miraculously, their symptoms of diabetes would actually disappear. So there's something to be said about the natives as to what they ate, how they lived, and what it can in terms of influence your health for the positive. So we want to look at that. I highly recommend you read this book. I will put the link to the online content of the book somewhere in the comments. Take a look around. But anyways, I hope this is informative. The work of Dr. Weston A. Price is pivotal to understanding the benefits of functional nutrition. My name is Gerald Orlees. If you have any questions on how I can help you to be healthy and happy with the implementation of functional nutrition herbs, feel free to reach out to me anytime.